Good afternoon, people. Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year. It is officially 2020, as many people have said and as many people are saying. This is LaVell recording a new video, a new entry for my diary about being a pescatarian. This was unplanned. This situation here with the fire department, I did not plan to capture any of that. So that's a bonus for you all. Something to watch, very interesting while I am recording this. Anyhow, lots to say about this experience and how it's been for me. It's been quite a long journey, I have to say the least. I am sorry that it has taken me this long to record a new entry for this journey. For those of you who have actually been following my progress religiously, wanting a new update, wanting to know what's happening in this journey, sorry it's taking me a long time. I was very busy in the middle and toward the latter part of last year. I was in 3 major productions, all of which I had principal leading roles in, and the second of the 3 of them, the one in the middle, was the most demanding because that was a massive piece by a playwright named Eugene O'Neill. Anyway, I'm not going to bore you with any of those details now because that's not the purpose of this. I took notes. In fact, I have 3 pages worth of notes. The notes are so that hopefully I'll be able to keep my thoughts and ideas organized somewhat. So presently I'm en route to Forest Park, which is here in St. Louis. I thought that it might be a good idea to record this new entry from a place that started this whole journey. My first entry, the one I did way back when in January 2019, was in Forest Park, and I thought, why not do another entry since I'm starting a new year also in Forest Park? And that's where I'm currently headed in my car. So, first things first. Let me see here. So, the first point, believe it or not, I have been on this journey as a pescatarian, for an entire year. And at this point, with today being Sunday, today is January 5th. With it being January 5th, it's been a little over a year now. I can't believe that I actually made it this long. Can you? I certainly can't believe it. I did not actually think I would make it 1 month, let alone an entire year. But I did it. An entire year with no pork, no beef, no chicken, no turkey. Just fish only. And vegetables and a gazillion carbs. I'll get to those in a minute. But anyway, believe it or not, I enjoyed this journey. I have enjoyed being a pescatarian, mostly. I love fish. It's one thing that I have learned out of this experience. I absolutely love fish. Enough that I could actually eat it every day and I would never get tired of it. And I did that, mostly. To the tune of an entire year. I can't believe I've actually done that, but I did it. So yay me. I ate a lot of seafood. Now, let me educate you on something that I learned myself through this process that I was not originally aware of. See, I thought that when one referred to seafood, that was an umbrella term for what would be considered shellfish items. Shellfish being shrimp and lobster and crabs and mussels, clams, oysters, those particular items. But what I came to learn and understand through this journey is that shellfish is actually an umbrella term for all forms of aquatic life. It's all considered seafood. And I didn't know that. I had no idea whatsoever. Now I know. Why that matters is because in that first video, I believe, that I recorded, the very first one, I believe I said I would only be eating freshwater and saltwater fish, but not seafood. But that's not true. What I really meant to say was I would not be eating shellfish because I have an allergy to shellfish, per 2 different allergists that I saw a long time ago. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, but I ate a lot of seafood. I ate salmon often. I ate trout often, and different kinds of trout. Freshwater, rainbow trout, and steelhead trout, which actually looks like salmon, but it's not salmon. It's very different. I've had sea bass. I've had fresh tuna, as in tuna that looks like a salmon steak per se, and that I learned that I'm not really a huge fan of that. Didn't taste bad, but it didn't taste great either. I ate a lot of tuna salad, the tuna that one buys in a can, but I was buying premium tuna in water from Costco. These are much larger tuna chunks, so that's very tasty. And it was a change for me because traditionally I associated tuna salad as what some people call tuna salad. I associated tuna salad as being a spring/summer food, and that's the only time that I would eat it. I would never eat it in the fall, winter months. But I don't need to tell you that being a pescatarian, I was kind of forced to make some changes where my diet is concerned in that sense, because I needed to have some kind of variety on occasion. The sun is very bright today. And I'm going to stop here and continue this in a moment. Okay, I'm back. So as it turns out, I inadvertently forgot my tripod, and thus I won't be able to record this video as I have some others, and that kind of sucks. In any case, back to my points. So, as some of you probably remember, I began this journey because of one of my uncles, one of them whom I'm very fond of. He is my mother's youngest brother, and as you might recall, as some of you might recall, from earlier in the year, as you might recall, from when I began this journey in the first place, Tremaine is his name, was undergoing chemotherapy and radiation. And when he was going through this process, this journey of his, it's very noisy out here. Okay, this is a lot better. There were a lot of cars passing by and the vehicles were noisy and distracting. So, as I was saying, I began this journey because I wanted to support Tremaine through his journey of chemotherapy and radiation. And when I initially broached the subject with him, I explained to him that I would not be able to cut my hair, because at the time anyway, I had been growing my hair for almost 2 years, a little over 2 years, and it was the length that it was, which was not that long, but it was certainly a decent length anyway. And it took 2 years for my hair to get to that length. My hair grows very slowly. But anyway, I said I would find some other way to support him through that. And so what that resulted in was some research and learning that I could potentially be a pescatarian. When I started the journey, I mentioned in one of the videos earlier that I did not really know exactly what the end result would be. And here we are, January 2020, a year later, and frankly, I still don't know what the end result is here. I can't tell you that. I don't know. I didn't know then. I don't know now. Okay, so I said I would do this for an entire year, and I've done just that. It's been a whole year. Now, I wish I could tell you that my entire life changed, that I'm a wonderful person now, that I saw the stars. I wish I could tell you that the sun turned purple. It did not turn purple. That the sky turned orange. It did not turn orange. The earth did not shift. I wish I could tell you all those wonderful things happened through this journey. Unfortunately, that would just be an absolute untruth. It's just a lie, because none of those things happened. None of them. And I don't feel any different. I hate to say that, but that's the truth. I was Ubering one night a while back and met a couple who I engaged in a conversation with and told them that I had become a pescatarian and that I had been doing it for almost a year. And they were both questioning it. You know, these were some fairly heavy people. Well, her husband was. She wasn't really as heavy as him. But anyway, said that they were considering making some changes to their diet and wanted to know about the experience for me, if I felt any different, if I lost any weight, if I was healthier, etc., etc. I can't answer that. I feel like the same person I did January 5th, 2019. I don't feel any different. Sorry to say, but that's the reality. That's the truth. I don't feel poorly. I didn't feel poorly when I started it. I don't feel poorly now. Now, as I was stating, I don't feel any different, not much. But as I said previously, I didn't feel poorly beforehand. You know, I didn't have diabetes. I didn't have high blood pressure. I didn't have heart disease. I didn't have high cholesterol. None of those things were true for me. So I can't say that being a pescatarian reversed all those things, because none of those things were true for me in the first place. That's really all I can speak on to that. I might say that there was potentially a change in my skin because I have cystic acne. It did for some years. And then I saw a dermatologist and went through several different regimens that helped also. So there's that. But I think that I have had lesser breakouts than what I would normally have. Maybe that's true. I think this video will have more cons and negatives than pros and benefits. Sorry, but that's the truth. One negative, believe it or not, now this is going to shock you. Perhaps those of you who are up on medicine, it may not shock you, but it did shock me. Believe it or not, my iron levels were low being a pescatarian. Why did this happen? Or rather, how did I find this out? Well, in one of my earlier videos, last year, you might remember that I recorded a video about giving a platelet donation. That's another thing that started out of this journey of supporting Tremaine through his cancer treatments. And, excuse me. And what happened was, one day I went in there to give a donation. I was scheduled to give one. They pricked my finger, both of them, in fact. They pricked the finger, and they have a little device where they take a couple of droplets of the blood, and the machine measures the amount of iron in your blood. And it measured mine, and believe it or not, I was low. I was really shocked by that. I didn't expect that. Even though a woman that I met in the grocery store once, when I told her I was starting this journey, she told me to ensure that I ate lots of dark leafy greens and, these kind of things, because she said my iron would be low. And I kind of dismissed what she was saying, because it's not that I thought she was being negative per se. I kind of perceived what she said as a bit pessimistic. Maybe I'll say it that way. And perhaps that's not much different than being negative. I just thought she was being a bit pessimistic, and I didn't really want to hear what she had to say. Turns out she was right. Because the foods that naturally have very, very high levels of iron in them, beef, chicken, turkey, those dishes have very high levels of iron in them, especially beef. And you're probably saying, but fish has iron in it, and it does, but not to the extent that beef does. Beef has extreme levels of iron in it, and having low iron, having an iron deficiency is never something that ever even crossed my mind my entire life, because I've been a meat eater my whole life until a year ago. So when that happened, I could not give the donation that day. And it's not that my iron levels were low to the extent that I would be passing out or malnourished or this kind of thing. That was not really the issue. The issue was that I did not have enough iron in my blood to share. And that's that. That was very disappointing. My feelings were hurt out of that. So that's the truth. But that was the reality. So that was one negative. And some literature I read from the medical assistants there that I could take iron supplements and this kind of thing, but I didn't really want to do that. And I was eating dark leafy greens, but that was apparently not enough. So another thing, I wouldn't really call this a con or a negative, but it was certainly a challenge, because being a pescatarian became quite a challenge for me. But I missed the variety of meals that I would have, when one day I might have beef, another day I might have pork, another day I might have chicken, another day I might have turkey, another day I might have fish. And so I missed the full variety of meals that I could have. That's the truth. And since I started this journey in winter, and being that it's even winter right now, I missed being able to have homemade chili. I have a delicious homemade chili recipe that I make of my own, and I could not make that because I certainly was not going to make a vegetarian chili dish. I actually went to a function a couple of months back, and they had a vegetarian, or was it vegan, chili dish, one or the other. I did not enjoy it. It wasn't seasoned well. I missed the texture of the beef mixed in with the beans and all the various vegetables. So that's a disappointment. Now, sometimes I was a bit creative, right? And I would create dishes and meals, that I could think to do, dishes that did not require beef. I can tell you that the idea of eating fish soup is not very appealing to me. I don't think it's really appealing to anyone, least of all me. And so anyway, one day, I have to tell you this funny story. One day, I had this, what I thought would be a brilliant, ingenious idea to make a tomato-based soup with 1 million vegetables in it, and wondered what kind of item I could put in the soup for protein, because one needs to have protein in most meals. This is what a nutritionist told me once, a long time ago. And so did a little research and found that sometimes people might put almonds in their various tomato soups. So what I did was I went out and I bought some fresh cauliflower, and I put mushrooms in there, and there was tomato soup, and I had potatoes and a million other, did I put cabbage in there? I can't remember. I know I had carrots for sure, and some other things too. A lot of seasonings. Well, unfortunately, what I did not account for was that cauliflower, when it sits in a dish, a wet dish, so to speak, will eventually become very soggy and disintegrate. And that's what happened. So that was really, really too bad. That was very, very unfortunate. And not only did that happen, but another problem happened with this soup. See, what I should have done was I should have cooked the potatoes separately and then combined them with the rest of the soup. Same true being of the cauliflower. The carrots, I didn't have that problem as much. But what happened with the potatoes? Well, I boiled them. What I mean is I cut them up and I threw them in the soup with everything else. But potatoes are a very starchy dish. They're a very starchy vegetable. So all of that starch leaked out into the soup. So that was not fun either. I ate some of the soup, as much of it as I could stand, even with the almonds that I threw in too early, because the almonds sat in there and they became a bit soggy. So they were soggy and hard at the same time. The outer shell of the almonds was soggy, but the inside was hard. That dish was a nightmare. And I told myself I was going to try and attempt to make it a second time, but make some changes. I never did. So anyway, earlier this winter, back in late October, early November, I suffered from a sinus infection that led to an upper respiratory infection. And because I didn't have insurance at the time, I did some research on what I could do to break up the chest congestion. And a lot of the research suggested hot liquids. So I went to the grocery store and bought some Campbell's canned tomato soup. Now, this was a select newer brand. It was newer to me, called Home Style, I think it's called, tomato soup by Campbell's. And I added some of my own seasonings, and I bought a bag of frozen vegetables and dumped that in there. And on top of that, after I was done cooking it, put some sunflower seeds on top of that. Now you're talking about a delicious dish. That was delicious. Loved it. Of course, what was in the bag of frozen vegetables? Green beans, corn, celery, and peas, I believe. And that's pretty much was all that was in there. Nothing more than that. So anyway, I was saying I kind of missed the variety. I missed the variety of dishes that I would have. So there's that. Okay. Now I'm nearing the end of this recording, this entry. And now I want to talk to you about this whole process of weight gain. Because Tremaine and one of my sisters, they both questioned, how in the hell have you gained weight? How are you gaining weight? And you don't hardly eat anything. They both said the same thing. So pay attention, because now I'm going to explain to you in this next segment here how in the world a pescatarian like myself can actually gain weight only eating fish. It's a very simple thing. I even brought a product with me to show you with your own eyes, so you can see with your own eyes exactly what contributed to the weight gain. So, about this weight gain, let me preface this first by explaining that One of the challenges I ran into being a pescatarian is being able to have quick, easy meals when I would come home from work, when I would come home from the gym, these things. And it's like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And sometimes I don't always feel like cooking salmon, which doesn't take that long. I mean, I generally cook it the same way most times. I just put a little olive oil in a skillet and season the salmon, and I put the salmon in the skillet, saute it. It takes 10 to 15 minutes, probably less than that, to just saute it. It's not a long thing, but the problem is if I haven't already taken salmon out of the freezer so that it's thawed, there's a whole thawing process, which I can expedite that process, but this is work. The point is that when I come home sometimes, I don't always feel like cooking. And where I run into trouble sometimes is that I would oftentimes skip the fast food restaurants. Not even oftentimes, a lot of the times. Like for the first 6 or 8 months last year, I didn't eat any fast food. Because fast food or fried food. Because if you'll recall, part of this journey, I said that I would be giving up all of those other things. But I also said refined sugars and all fried foods. And I did just that. Yay me. So anyway, I couldn't stop at McDonald's and get anything. I couldn't stop at Chick-fil-A. Couldn't stop at Steak and Shake. All these various restaurants, White Castle. I didn't do any of that. Although later on, I would go to White Castle and McDonald's. But I'll talk about that in a minute. But I didn't go to any of those places. So it's 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. 10:30 sometimes. What's the next best option for a dish that I could eat? Breakfast cereal. And here it is in all of its glory. This is one of my favorite breakfast cereals. It's by Trader Joe's. As you can see, this is Super Nutty Toffee Clusters. And it's pretty great because it's got a ton of nuts in it. See there? Pecans, almonds, and Brazilian nuts. And it's wonderful because nuts have a lot of protein in them. And this cereal overall is very filling. Yes? But here is the trouble with it. Right here. Do you see how many calories are in this cereal? For 3/4 of a cup? That's not even for a full cup. That's 3/4 of a cup. And stop that. There we go. Sorry about that. And I never measured my food when I was eating it. In general, I never measure my food. I just don't do that. But do you see here? Look at how many carbs are in this. 38 grams. 11 grams of sugar. But there are 5 grams of protein. So that's nice. In any case, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Stop doing that. 3/4 of a cup of sugar, of 3/4 of a cup of cereal that is equal to 250 calories. So imagine just actually pouring myself a bowl of cereal and not measuring it. That's going to be more than 300 calories to start. Okay? And if I do 2 bowls of cereal, that's 600 or more calories. And then if I'm inclined to do so, a 3rd bowl, that's going to be 900 calories. There are approximately 3,500 calories in 1 pound of fat, roughly that. I did the research, so I know what I'm talking about. So if I did 1,000 calories of cereal one day and another 1,000 calories of cereal a second day and then do it a 3rd day, that's 1 pound I've gained in 1 week already just eating breakfast cereal. So now, and this is not even eating cake, not eating cookies, potato chips, none of that stuff that's loaded with fat and sugar and calories, because I wasn't eating any of those things. It was the breakfast cereal. So now you know how I gained the weight. Another thing, I was not always working out consistently because remember I said earlier in this entry, I was busy rehearsing and learning tons and tons and tons of lines. So I had a lot going on, and not working out consistently, consuming 1,000,000 calories weekly. Yeah, the pounds inched on little by little. They crept up to the point where I couldn't fit any of my clothes hardly. So I had to go on an extreme diet, a liquid diet as I call it. I won't get into any of those details now. And then I dropped the pounds, and then I was back to the size I was. Not quite there, but definitely a lot less. And since October, my birthday, to this place, it's happened again. Can't believe it. So anyway, I'm going to do this whole thing again because, gosh, the pounds just run after me. I can just look at food and it just jumps on me. So anyway, so your next question for me is probably, what is next? What's next, LaVell? What are you doing after this? Now what? Well, for starters, I have several other videos I need to upload from last year, the spring, summer months. I just never got around to uploading them because I was busy with those productions in the summer and in the fall and the winter. I had 4 Christmas gigs actually in the month of December alone, where I was singing a lot, and I had a lot of music to learn. So I was busy. Anyway, I can't tell you what's next. I'm not sure. I don't know at this juncture if I'm going back to the other foods or if I'm going to stay at Pescatarian. I don't know. Sorry. And I intended to record this video at least a month ago, so I could tell you then that I didn't know what the end result would be, and I still don't know now. But also so I could tell you then that I did not know if I was staying or if I was gonna return, and I still don't know. One of my roommates asked me, why would you go back after all this time? I don't know the answer to that. And a good friend of mine another friend asked me, why wouldn't you go back? I don't know the answer to that either. I don't know the answer. What I plan to do is to submit an entry, detailing my experience around some of these foods and what might happen, what could potentially happen with my body having consumed poultry or beef or pork. Poultry being chicken and turkey, for those who don't know that. So anyway, I don't know. I can tell you this. I do have one update already because I was supposed to record this on January 1st when I made the notes, and I didn't get around to it. And I'm running out of light, so I'm trying to get through this quickly. On January 1st, I went to my mother's house to see her and my siblings, and we hung out, and she cooked some chicken, some fried chicken wings, and some sweet potatoes and black-eyed peas. Ugh, and skillet cornbread. Now, the black-eyed peas I did not consume. I didn't like them as a kid. I still don't like them now. And I can't even tell you if I've ever even tasted them. They are very much a southern dish. But a lot of people eat them on January 1st because the superstition is that eating them gives one good luck for the year. I don't know if that's true or not. I've never consumed them, to my recollection. But I had some cornbread and I had sweet potatoes. And what are those? Carbs. So anyway, but my point is, when I was leaving my apartment, I told myself, I am definitely not eating any chicken. I was imagining myself eating the chicken before I left my home, and I was kind of grossed out by that. I was like, ugh, I'm not eating any chicken. And then when I got there and looked at the chicken, I thought, you know what? Maybe I will have some chicken. And I stared at it for several minutes, several seconds maybe. And at this point, y'all, I can tell you it's up here. It's psychological. Because I looked at the chicken, and I didn't eat any of it. So now I'm going to have to find a way to get over this mind, what, that I have created for myself, because I don't know how to break this. I don't know how to break this now, because now my brain is stuck. It's stuck on not consuming any products other than fish. And I don't know how to go back. Sure, you're saying it's simple. Just get a burger and bite into it and enjoy it. Buy some ground turkey, cook it, and eat it. Buy some chicken breast, roast it in the oven, and eat it. It's simple. And I'm sorry to say to you, that's a lot easier said than done. It's been a whole year that I've been away from those foods, and now my mind is rejecting it. That's the truth. So anyway, shucks. This was supposed to be the end. I'm sorry. I did not tell you about Thanksgiving, Christmas, happy. I didn't tell you about the 4th of July, Memorial Day. Quickly. I actually ate fish on all of those holidays, believe it or not. For Thanksgiving, I bought some specialty rainbow trout. That was delicious. I ate that and some steamed vegetables and and I had some fried corn that I cooked. That's a southern dish. Delicious, by the way. My grandmother gave me that recipe. So anyway, ate that and that was good. For Christmas, I had fish again. Did I? Yeah, I did actually. I had another slab of that specialty rainbow trout I mentioned. That's what I had for Christmas. For the 4th of July, I had salmon that I grilled in the barbecue pit. That was very tasty. Grilled salmon is delicious. And for Memorial Day, I think I had fish as well. Anyway, so that's what I have done. I know this is a very long video. I'm sorry. I didn't intend for it to be this long, but there was a lot to catch you all up on. So thanks for listening. I wish you guys well in this new year, and Happy New Year. Bye.